Hey guys, it's Jason here from Agency J. I'm not sure what time it is over there when you guys are watching this, but it's getting late over here, and I promised to get this video out for Alex a couple of days ago, so here it is. So in this just short video, I'm basically going to share 3 strategies we use to scale a brand new ad account from $1,000 a day to $3,000 a day in ad spend in just about 5 weeks, and how we generated $260,000 and hit a record month and did that consistently over 2 months so far, and in the third month it's still looking really good here for a client account. So just a bit of background here. So essentially, this is one of our clients with a high-ticket coaching program helping business owners making at least $500,000 a year up to over $10 million a year actually build their systems, and it will continue growing their business without working so many hours. So what happened and what transpired, I just want to give you guys a brief background so you guys kind of get a good understanding, so you guys don't just look at the strategies I'm going to share in isolation and be like, hey, this should work in any account. So what happened previously was, last year the client actually fired the previous agency because the results weren't good. They were reporting Facebook's data and they refused to use HYROS that the client has signed up for a good 6 months. So basically what happened was, HYROS was reporting that the cost per call was like $1,000, and the actual cost per call was indeed $1,000, but the agency was just reporting Facebook ads numbers and saying, oh no, your cost per calls are looking good at $300, and that just continued running for like a good 6 months before he was like, that's it, I'm firing you guys. So when we took over, we basically cut the cost per call by 50%, increased the cash collected to over $200K per month, and it was a record month for the business at that time in our first month of working together. So the main point, I guess, for sharing this is because the business, we actually did achieve a proof of scale back then in August, which was great. And in the subsequent months, we did a very similar numbers in August, in September, and in October. Then in November last year, we all know elections and everything else. So life happened. Account went down due to random reasons. So I know some of you guys have experienced something similar. The personal account was basically banned due to some violation related to politics, sharing, and things like that. But there was nothing of that sort. Our client is does apathetic and it doesn't really care about politics. So not sure why it got flagged out. But anyway, the whole personal Facebook ad account just went down without a warning. So the business manager and everything else went down. We kept appealing for like a good 4 or 5 months. It didn't work. In the end, we decided to kind of like restart and create a new ad account. Of course, in the meantime, the client was doing YouTube ads with one of the best agencies out there, and a lot of you guys know this agency. If I were to share the names and all that, you guys would know that they are solid. But I mean, they did great work, but unfortunately it just didn't work with YouTube ads. They barely broke even every single month on ad spend, not even on the operational costs and everything else. So in April this year, we had a second chance. We had a new business manager, ad account, Facebook page. We restarted everything with the help of one of the salespersons. So we basically restarted it at $1,000 a day in ad spend to try and find winning ads, because we were restarting everything from scratch. We don't know what violated, the Facebook stuff. So we didn't want to try any of the old ad images or any of the old ad copy and things like that. So in the first month, we did about $60K in cash collected from $30K in ad spend. I mean, the revenue was probably a bit higher because their payment plans for some of them. So in May, we actually scaled from $1,000 to $3,000 per day. It's really funny because the client was basically sent me a message when I was pretty happy with the ads. We were getting 3-4 calls booked a day. It was really good. And the client just told me, look, Jason, if you're only going to spend $1,000 a day, we are definitely going to close down soon. And I was like, oh shit, yeah. I just lost my train of thought that they were completely relying on Facebook. They had really stopped YouTube at a point in time. So we scaled the ad spend from the second, third week onwards. So we ended up spending about $68,000 and collected about $140,000 in cash. So you can see in terms of cash collected to ad spend, it was still pretty consistent at about 2x. Of course, with cash with high ticket courses or programs, we are typically looking at like a 3 to 5x, but not exactly in terms of cash collected, but more in terms of revenue, and we definitely hit those numbers as well. So in June, which was a recent month, we had a record month of the business. We actually collected $261,000 from 82K spent. The business actually crossed over 300K overall as a whole. I'll show you the numbers later on. So now you guys have the numbers. I want to go more into the cost benchmarks followed by the exact strategies that we used. So now our cost per call ceiling or metric is higher than most industries in this case. So in this case, it's about $500. I know most of you guys are probably doing like $200-300. Do your own business math. Please don't compare, especially if you're doing it across industry, across programs. We have clients with cost per calls from $100 to $1,000, and they're all happily profitable, right? So for this client, we're targeting business owners making at least $500,000 a year up to $10 million a year. And if you guys don't know how many of them there are a whole ton of them out there, okay, even on Facebook, so it's possible to actually reach them. So these people are typically working 70, 80 hours a week, barely even having a life, let alone using social media platforms. So that's the reason why the cost per call is just naturally higher than many other niches that we are in. So in April, we basically restarted with a brand new ad account, a brand new Facebook pixel, a brand new domain, because we didn't know what was flagged with the previous ad account. We used a new payment method, a new funnel. The only thing we reused was the old VSL. We even changed the wording on the entire funnel, the funnel opt-in pages, basically everything pretty much. So so just in terms of the results, if you guys want to take a look, just wanted to get it out there, make sure you guys are on the same page, that we are straight with our numbers, we don't lie and anything like that. So now let's get into the actual stuff. So I'm going to share with you guys just 3 of the strategies that we use. Of course, there are a lot more, but just 3 of the things that we specifically used in conjunction or in combination with HYROS that anyone could use. So first of all, the first strategy I want to share with you is to let the winners run. So for many of you guys probably have heard of the whole graduation method thing, or the kind of test and production process, the factory process and things like that. So we did something similar. We have a campaign that's set aside specifically just for testing ads. Another campaign is specifically set aside for testing audiences. And then you doing that, we basically, the way to get started, for those of you who are just getting started with this approach, is you will definitely have to start running your ads with 3 audiences that you have the most confidence in. And when those ads work, or when you find the first batch of ads that work, those first 3 ad sets or audiences naturally move on from an ads testing campaign to an audience testing campaign. So what I do is I typically just kind of change the identity and shift that from testing ads to testing audiences. Then separately, what I do is, of course, when we launch new ads, we basically launch new ads with new audiences again that we have the next level of confidence with, and that becomes our new ads testing campaign. So just to summarize, when you are first testing your ads with new audiences, you want to, in a brand new ad account, you want to find winning ads. And when you first find winning ads, what we do is we turn the entire campaign into an audience testing campaign. So we start looking at the winners and duplicating the winners into new audiences within that campaign and test for new audiences that we can scale. But at the same time, you want to build your pipeline on the back end. So this is where we start a new campaign, we start testing new ads with audiences that we feel like we have a reasonable amount of confidence that it will work. And we start to reserve that campaign only for testing new ads. And whenever we find new ads that are winning, we push those new ads into the audience testing campaign so that we can keep on scaling and keep on growing our business. So one of the things that we do specifically with this strategy is that we let the winners run. So in other words, we set a criteria for all of our ads to reach a certain standard where we consider them a real winner. So for example, in our case, we say that for high ticket call funnels, they need to generate 5 sales from the ad set before we call the ad set a winner. We also make sure that the ads generate 5 sales before we call the ad a winner as well. So coming back to the ad set, what we do is usually by the time it reaches about 5 sales, we know more or less with predictability that when a lead or a call is booked or scheduled from that audience, we have that percentage of confidence that the call will close. Now, it's so funny because these days when the call come in, I can straight away tell whether they're going to close or not. And I will usually just ping my client sales team and just say, hey, this is a whale, or this is one of our, we have this tiny little blog emoticons, they're colorful, they're jumping around, and we usually indicate those leads that come into Slack and just let them know that, hey, these are all coming from the winning audiences. So what we do is, for example, when we first run the ads, our cost per call target might be anywhere from like $300 to $500. And when we scale and let it run, there will be some days where it will not do just as well, but we let that ad set run even if it starts exceeding the cost per call, because we know for a fact that they will close and they will provide a positive ROI. So it's important, especially when you start running ads for a longer period of time, that you simply let your winners run. It could be the winning ads or just the winning audiences. Of course, if the winning ad get to a point where it's like 2x ROAS, 2x cost per acquisition, and it's no longer profitable, that's when you want to start replacing it with new winning ads and things like that. But you want to keep the ad set running for as long as possible, because if you can just even generate a call, it will close. Like the chances of it closing is just so high compared to getting calls scheduled from unproven ad sets and audiences. So just so you guys know, we use something called the account plan database. This is our proprietary system that we use to track all of our tests. We track tests on audiences, on ads, copy, images, creatives, and everything. So this is our tab for the way we track audiences. We list out all the audiences we have. We track everything from country to country, from 1% all the way to 10%. And then we label them, which campaign ad set they are launched in. And then we kind of like indicate whether they are launched, whether they have failed, whether we are giving them a second attempt, or whether they are winning audiences. So you can see the one in cyan blue color here. Like these are the winning audiences here. And we have, of course, we have a couple more below. And you can see that most of them are grayed out because, we have tested them, they have scheduled calls, but the calls didn't close, the quality of the calls aren't great. So the beauty of HYROS is that it's been able to give us the ability to reconcile the quantity of calls with the quality of the calls in terms of the sales that you generated. So we know very consistently, like for some of the audiences, now you have gotten to like 50, 60 book calls. We know that some of them close at a 1 to 3 rate, and some of them close at a 1 to 5 rate, and some of them close at a 1 to 7 rate. So we know, like for example, for some of these, they are closing a 1 to 7 rate, the cost per call target for those ad sets just tend to be lower. And for those that close at 1 to 3, we know that, hey, if we can spend $3,000 acquiring a customer and be profitable, then I'll be willing to spend like $1,000 to even just capture a single call from that ad set. So you start with a similar benchmark or a consistent benchmark in the beginning, but you got to let your winners run and start customizing your cost per benchmark to that particular audience, depending on where the call is coming from. And that's how you maximize the yield from every single ad set as much as you can. All right. So strategy number 2, which is kind of combined with strategy number 1, is you got to let a campaign do what you're supposed to do. So earlier I talked to you about setting up this ads testing campaign, and oftentimes we find winning ads in those audiences, and it's very tempting to just let that ad run and just find a new audience that you can test ads with. What we find that the most productive way to do it is actually just to kill it. Like once it works and you push it into the winning ad campaigns and things like that, into the audience testing campaign, just kill it. Just kill it and just focus this entire ad set or this entire ads testing campaign on its own purpose or intention, which is to test new ads and find new winning ads. Just keep doing that. So I know a couple of you are going to say, Jason, that's so stupid because you lose potential sales from the ad. But so let me just do a couple of cost benefit analysis with you here. So in the first strategy, if you cue the golden geese, the short term, yes, you do lose potential sales from the ad. But in the long term, what it does is, from a bigger picture, it keeps your ad pipelines running smoothly, because now you have a proven audience that is able to help you find winning ads. So you keep one variable fixed and you're able to keep finding new ads that win. And when they pass your test, you can push these winning ads into your audience testing campaigns. And that allows you to multiply that winning ad into multiple audiences and get way more sales than you would from the amount you actually lose from turning it off. If you go to your alternative route, of course, you make the full use of the ad because you simply keep the ads running and then you find a new audience to test new ads with. But that basically requires you to restart the process of finding a new audience that you need a reasonable amount of confidence with that it will work. And then when it doesn't work, you're like, okay, is it because of the audience or is it because of the ad? Then you have to test like 3 to 5 ads before you think, oh no, actually this audience sucked. So you got to like just make the decision here and just keep it focused on testing new ads, and also keep the ads testing campaign focused on testing new ads. Use it as a machine, as a way to help you produce these new ads so that it goes into production, so that it goes into your audience testing campaign. So just keep it focused. Yes, you lose potential sales, but it's really not much compared to the grand scheme of things. All right. So now the third and last strategy I'm going to share with you guys here is to use HYROS audiences. So if you guys remember this account plan database I shared with you guys earlier, our best performing audience right now is the HYROS leads, like literally the whole 30,000 leads. I don't know how much leads we had pushed into Facebook, creating an audience, and HYROS leads are doing by far the best, followed by we have another one that is a 5% of all Facebook leads that is doing behind HYROS leads. So our HYROS leads the 5% is great, and the reason why it's great, as you can see here, is because most of our ads here you can see are still running on 1% audiences, 2% audiences, some of them 1 to 2% and things like that. But you can see this is 5%, and what it means is that with the audience size of about 4 or 5 million, it allows us to run the ads like for a really long period of time. So there's a lot of longevity in it. We don't have to worry about audience burnout, ad burnout that quickly. So definitely recommend you guys trying out the HYROS audiences if you guys have not already done so. And if you guys didn't notice, the ability to create audiences within a HYROS has come back. So you can actually go into a HYROS, go into the settings, go to a Facebook integration under the audience section, and then automatically create audiences, and then add the text and synchronize the text that you have in HYROS automatically with Facebook. So you're creating a dynamic audience on Facebook, and you can always create new lookalike audiences and things like that. So make sure you check that out if you don't already know. And if you guys can't find it, ping Alex and his team. I'm sure they will oblige and bring you there. So just a couple more slides. Just one more thing over here actually. So bonus strategy is to ask and work with your sales team to tell you when they speak to the leads they absolutely love. So I did this very early on back in July last year, and really funny, what happened was the client sales team was like, Jason, I don't know how you found these leads, like find these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leads for me. They are really good to talk to. We managed to close these deals, and they were like $8,000 deals in like 15 minutes. And sure enough, they're using Go HighLevel. So what I did was I went to Go HighLevel, listened to the conversations, and the pure 15 minutes was the customers, the prospects pitching themselves to our client. And that's why the salespeople loved it. But when I, looked at each of those leads, and because HYROS picks up on all the activity, I was able to go to HYROS. I was able to see, okay, what did they check out? What did they see? And I realized a lot of them clicked on the ads, on average about 4 to 15 times before they actually schedule a call. They did our homework, that we actually got them to do. They went to check out some of our podcasts and all that kind of stuff. So that was when I started realizing I got to layer a couple of things into our campaign to drive more interactions, engagement in the middle of funnel, even after they have scheduled a call. And that has been instrumental in increasing our closing rate. Right now, we have about a 70-80% show rate, 40 to 50% closing rate on the calls. So that's why it's been so healthy, even with a relatively higher cost per call. All right. So I hope this has been helpful to you guys. I know you guys are probably wondering, okay, Jason, was June just a fluke? Was it just 1 month? So just let you guys know, in July, we did another $260,000 in way less ad spend. And the reason was because one of the key salesperson, we currently have 1.5 salesperson. The one salesperson, the main guy, went on a holiday for a week with his family. So we had to cut down on ad spend. Surprisingly, when we cut down on the ad spend, we got way more calls for whatever reason. But yeah, so in any case, we managed to close another $260,000 for last month, just from Facebook alone, and organically from emails, it was about 20K. So we did about 280K in total. So it wasn't too bad, but it was definitely a close to record month, last month as well. So this August 4th evening, I'm recording this, just showing you guys the stats. We've spent $11,000 so far this month, already closed $45,000 in sales. But I know eventually we'll even out, and we'll probably do between 350, 360K this month, purely because we now have 2 full-time salespeople. Yeah, then that's about it. Hopefully this has been useful to you guys. Shout out to Alex. Thank you for creating this tool and always taking my feedback. I know I'm pinging you guys and the support team all the time to try and fix bugs and keep improving the features. And, thank you guys for having me. And, I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.